The Women's Six Nations finished with a bang, as all three games gave us entertainment and drama all the way through. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. It really was a great day of rugby, not just women's rugby, in the final round of this year's Women's Six Nations. And it was a nice build-up as well, the way the fixtures fell. We had, battle at the bottom, then we had that battle for third place, and then just the cherry on top, that Grand Slam game as well in France, and every game delivered. And, each of them had drama all the way through as well. And maybe, the final game not as close as maybe neutrals would have liked, but still pretty entertaining. So we're going to start with, we're going to run down through each of the games, and then we'll have a look at the table and just talk about where each teams are after this year's tournament. So first up is Wales 22, Italy 20. So we have Karis Phillips with a quick throw from a 5-metre line out, gets a return pass, and she goes over to open the scoring from Wales. Italy, though, hit back. Dinka strips the ball from Hannah Bluck, breaks into the 22, draws the cover, and then puts Astuni Minutsu over to score. Italy then extend their lead with a Rigoni penalty. Wales, they've got the Italian line under siege, and eventually Pearce goes over to score from close range. Conversion puts Wales back in front. Then Bevan penalty stretches that lead out to 5 points. Then have some really nice hands in traffic and the tram lines from Italy, and Granzotto is on the end of a nice Dinka pass to go over in the corner, and we're all square. Italy then stretching that Welsh defence out on the left in the 22, quick recycle, and Stevanine darts over to score. A couple of minutes to go, and Wales have the Italian line under siege again. Tuipulotu has the power to force a way over under the post. The conversion then gives Wales a 2-point lead, and they manage the last 2 minutes to see out the win. Great win for Wales there. Italy could see themselves a little bit unlucky. The performances have been fantastic, I thought, through the tournament, but Wales coming up there at the end to make sure that they didn't finish the tournament winless. On to the second game then, it was Ireland 15, Scotland 12. So Scotland, to get their maul working from them, or for them, should I say, from 5 metres out. The backs then join in and a drive over. Martin is the scorer. Conversion is missed. Ireland then applying a lot of pressure on that Scotland defence for the remainder of the half, but just lack of accuracy to put any kind of chance away there. And Scotland have the lead at the break. But then Ireland correct, their kind of errors really in the first minute after the restart. Hogan carries well out wide, finds Corrigan, she shrugs off a tackle, and then goes over, great strength, being tackled by two players to get the score. Scotland's maul then instrumental in their second try. This time it's the platform rather than the end product. And, they maul well on the edge of the Ireland 22. Then they spread it back in field. Some decent carries, denting that Irish line. Then they go right. And there's a great line from Thompson, who goes through a gap as Ireland were just kind of drifting maybe a little bit too much to cover the options that they had outside. Nelson converts this one. Ireland's maul then comes to the fore. They went to it a few times in the first half, and it looked like they had it well set up, but the Scottish defence was equal to it. This time, though, Ireland get the nudge on, and eventually they drive over. Clona Maloney, back from the wilderness, is the score of that one. Brilliant to see that from her as well. The way she was treated, you wouldn't wish it on anyone, on your worst enemy, just for speaking up about the problems that were there. Conversion squares us back up again. Scotland then turned down a chance to kick a goal. And in the end, like the gamble doesn't pay off for them. It was weird because to finish third, all they needed was a draw. It's not like they needed a try to win the game. If they had popped over that penalty, and then Ireland would have needed a try to actually win the game and deny them third place. So a bit of a strange one there, and in the end, it didn't come off for them either. I guess they were trying to go back to that maul again and just squeeze Ireland out of it, but as I said, didn't happen for them. Then Ireland get a penalty themselves for not rolling away. Dana O'Brien nails it. Her kicking has been superb all tournament. Potentially, the best kicker in the tournament this year, I feel. And that proved to be the winning score in the end. There was, a chance for Scotland where they had a put into the line out on the edge of Ireland 22, but Ireland got up, competed well, and then as the ball broke, they got to the ball first, recycle it, and got it off the field. So a decent win for Ireland, especially against a Scotland team that are really right. And I felt that Scotland, although Ireland finished third, I felt that Scotland were probably the third best team in the tournament in terms of their overall performance against each of the teams, especially the top two. Then the final game, then the Grand Slam decider, France 21, England 42. So England start off pounding away at the French line, some determined defence, keeping them out, but it cracks in the end, and Muir gets over close to the post. England come again, forwards carrying hard, then they spread it, and Matthews finds a soft shoulder and forces her way through a gap and over. Boderman with some really good carries in the build-up to both of those tries. France then look to respond. Foul with a strong carry in the 22. Then Calfawi sucks in more defenders before Vernier's put through a gap and over to score. England then another score from them through Jones, and that's kind of the story of the game, really. France would come back a little bit. England would go further ahead again. Momentum though back with France, attacking off the back of a scrum around about halfway. Baudon Sansus carries it up to the line, being very aggressive in her carries, and has the England defence on the back foot. Then a superb long pass, skipped about 3 players to get it out to Marine Manager on the wing. She's got a lot of work to do, but there's a step, there's a brilliant fend, and then just the pace comes in at the end, and she ends up going over in the corner, but comes all the way around to the to behind the post to make the conversion easier. England then go to the maul with a few minutes to go to the break. Really powerful drive from a 5-meter line out, and Marley Packer is the scorer. I think that one we had to have a TMO check on it, but they were happy that there wasn't, that she just reached out to place it and didn't actually do a double movement. There's still time then for England to go back to that maul again before half time, and this time it's Cocaine is the score. Then second half, Calfui, dangerous clear out on Talling. She gets a yellow card, and that's later upgraded to a red by the bunker. And even with the scores, it was 35-14 at that point, and you're thinking, well, the game was over probably already, but now it really is. But in fairness to France, down to 14 women, and they're the ones that score next. Vernier with a nice dart close to the line. There's a quick recycle, some good hands, and then Manager gets over for a second. But England complete the scoring with some soft hands from the forwards to send Matthews over under the post. So brilliant performance by England. It's one thing being the favourites all the way through the tournament, but you still have to deliver, and they really delivered as well. But fair play to France too for making them work for it. It was a tough ask for them because this is a special England team, but they asked questions of them at times as well, and you could see they found some gaps there, but overall, England just a little bit too much for them. Okay, so let's have a look at the final table. As I said, we'll talk about each of the teams as well and where they are. So England at the top there, 5 wins from 5, 5 bonus points, and then the extras as well for getting a Grand Slam as well, leave them on 28 points. And England were just sublime all the way through this tournament. Some of their play, like some of the skills that the forwards have, is just ridiculous, and the way that they combine forwards and backs, interchanging, is just brilliant as well. And they've got their set piece, they've got their maul. They have the ability then to just rip teams open with set moves or on turnover as well. Like, they just have so many strings to their bow. It's just an amazing team and well deserved Grand Slam winners. Next then, France. So they won all bar that Grand Slam decider. They did have some tough games along the way, especially against Scotland, and I thought Italy did well against them as well, but they came through it in the end, and they put themselves in the position to challenge England in that final game. Weren't quite up to it there, but you can see still, this is a really good French team, and basically for them in the Six Nations, their goal is to try and close the gap to England. But the problem they have is they're the target for the teams below them at the minute. So they know they've got to improve year on year. And they have some special players. It's just that England have a few more of them. Third place then, Ireland. So, going from wooden spoon last year to third place is a big step forward for Ireland. There's still a lot of work to do. I still feel like, on attack, they're still, a little too hesitant, and the fluency isn't there. Hands probably not as good as it should be. The set piece needs a bit of work too, but still, compared to last year, they've taken a major step forward. And 2 wins. They managed to beat Wales and Scotland. Lost out to Italy in terms of the teams that they were competitive against, but still decent from them. But now they've got to build on that. They can't kind of slip back next year or through the rest of the year either. So still plenty of work for them to do, but at least to have a decent base to build from. Next then is Scotland. As I said, for me, in terms of just the performance, especially against France, kind of for me, they look the best of the rest. In terms of just consistency throughout the tournament. They could have gotten that draw against Ireland as well to finish third themselves, but they went for the win and didn't quite come off for them. And they had some decent games all the way through, and definitely a big improvement on last year. And again, a team. I should have mentioned as well. Ireland, by finishing third, have qualified for, first of all, WX1, but more importantly, for the next Women's Rugby World Cup. So that's brilliant for them, having missed out last time. So, that's going to be great for them because they don't have to worry about that now. It's more now getting themselves ready to be competitive there, and more competitive than we've seen them in recent years. But Scotland, the reason why it reminded me was because Scotland haven't qualified yet, but given their performances in this tournament, I fully believe that they're going to steal, the next opportunity they have to qualify. They will seal the qualification. Italy then, they had that one win against Ireland. It was a really good performance. They had some other decent performances too. They went close against Wales. They gave France a real game as well, and maybe let themselves down a little bit against Scotland. Probably would have expected not necessarily to win the game, but certainly to be closer than they were in terms of how that one finished. To give themselves a better chance of a win there. But again, Scotland were very decent this year as well. But Italy. I feel like in terms of the how fluid their attack is and that linkage between backs and forwards that we see from England and France, I feel like Italy are the closest to that out of the other teams. They just need a little bit more really I think they're playing in the right style that suits them, but still just need that, maybe one or two other players to come through, and then I could easily see them finishing third next year if they progress from there. But obviously the other teams are going to improve as well, so they've got to really improve. But still a decent tournament for them. Fifth place probably not a just reward for their performance through the tournament, but I think this tournament really this year has been about a lot of teams playing well and doing well, and because of that, then somebody, even though they've done well, has got to finish fifth. Then you have Wales there on the bottom with the wooden spoon. They pretty much knew they were going to get it going into the final round, so their aim was just to get themselves a win on the board, and they did that. But it's a big, real, kind of fall from grace for them, really, because last year they finished third, and they were clearly the best of the rest in the tournament. Look like they're heading in the right direction with their setup, etc. But for whatever reason, they've gone backwards since then. I think it was 7 defeats on the trot until that win against Italy, so at least they've broken that losing streak. But still, now they've got to try and look back at this and figure out where they gone wrong really, because they looked really good last year, but then this year they didn't have the impact from the forwards in the carry that they did, maybe because they weren't as big a surprise to teams as they were last year, but also, that ambition from the backs as well. Not as good as it was last year. Set piece probably needs a bit of work as well from them, but a positive that they can take out of it is that they finish with a win, so that gives them a little bit of a bounce. But they're probably the one team, I would say, out of the 6 that we saw this year that haven't improved compared to last year. I think they're one team that have gone backwards compared to last year. I think everybody else has taken a step forward, some obviously larger steps than others, but still it feels like the other 5 are progressing. So Wales don't want to kind of be cut adrift, and not even just recovering the position where they were last year. They've got to work really hard to make sure that a gap doesn't grow between them and the others. So they've got to get themselves back into a competitive position. But we saw with other teams, the likes of Ireland, that with some decent coaching, getting time together, and just some good planning as well, that you can make that correction in the years in between the Women's Six Nations. So they'll be hoping to be able to do that through the rest of the year and come back next year fighting fit. But overall, I thought it was a really entertaining tournament. One thing I would say is I'd like to see, it's obviously hard with the amount of rugby that's played all the time, but for the Women's Six Nations to be given a better window in terms of when it occurs, so it can be kind of more of a showpiece event rather than kind of being mixed in with the men's Champions Cup quarterfinals and stuff like that. We're on at the same weekend, etc. So maybe they could manage the calendar a little bit better to give them a better window in terms of that, because you can see already like the number of records for attendances, etc., that have fallen this year, that this tournament is just going to keep on growing and growing, and you want to position it to be in the best place to be able to take advantage of that. And I think, again, because it's gonna be one of those things where at the moment the men's Six Nations, each weekend is a big event weekend, not just for the teams involved, but for the cities who are hosts as well. And you can see that that's something that's coming for the women's game. And something to remember as well is that, we can see with the women's game that it's not necessarily just the same, the same rugby fans that watch the men's game that are being fans here. We're bringing a lot of new fans into the sport through this, because, and I can see why. Like if you're like a woman, like a female sports fan, and you want to see people that you can emulate, and people that you can kind of connect with, and kind of it's easier to connect with women's sport. And we might see, obviously, I'm not saying that there's no women who are watching the men's game. I'm just saying that maybe for some women the men's game doesn't have much interest for them, but the women's game will. So you're going to have a lot of new fans coming in, that this is their vehicle into the sport as fans, and this is going to be their focus. Like they might still watch some of the men's game, but these games are going to be the ones that they feel are more important to them. And as it grows, as we're going to get like the likes of Twickenham, and eventually the likes of the Aviva, Principality, etc., getting filled for these games, like there's a huge opportunity for the sport there, and I feel like they need to be planning for that now, and not just kind of getting to the point and realizing, oh well, we actually do need to take it a little more seriously than we have. So hopefully that's all coming down the line, because it's a fantastic tournament that's getting better and better each year, and this year's edition has been one of the best so far.